Hey ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing tonight? It's that time again, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Uh, Glad to see you all here. I've got uh, I've got Legend Tripper, Robert C. Robinson. He's going to be here tonight. I'm going to be calling him on Skype in just a few minutes. We're going to be talking about all different sorts of things. We'll probably start out talking about what legend tripping is and how we got into it. But he is an author of this book. You see the cover of it right here behind me. The Legend Tripping, the Ultimate Family Experience. Um, I was perusing around on the internet and found out that this book here was voted in the top 10 books for cryptozoology um, in 2014. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was just somebody's list that they had put up, um, and that's sort of how I stumbled upon his blog spot. But I'm going to call him real quick and get him on. As always, make sure you guys suggest feature and like the page. We're the 8th most liked show for the day already, so let's try and make that number one.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Hey, how's it going, Sean?
It's going pretty good. Things going a little bit better for you today?
Oh, yeah, much better.
I seen the picture of your grandson, you and your grandson on the on Facebook. Is adorable, adorable kid.
Yeah. He's quite the handful too. But yeah, I had to babysit him last night, and I took our first little selfie together. And
That's
but
awesome.
yeah,
Future legend tripper right there.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I got me another legend tripping buddy to go out with.
That's the best way to do it. It's awesome. It's amazing. Um, well, let's start off talking a little bit about legend tripping, what it is, and a little bit about how you got into it.
Well, I guess the way I got into it is as a kid. I was the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek. I went and saw it. Didn't know I was going to watch what it was all about, and the movie actually kind of scared me a little bit. You know, when we got home, in fact, we went to a double feature at a drive-in, and to this day, I don't remember what the second movie was. That's how bad the movie scared me. And but you know, I started hearing my uncle talk about it. Apparently he was big into the Bigfoot thing, and I started reading about it, and and my fear turned into intrigue, and then I started reading more about Bigfoot and other stuff. And as far as the paranormal, the movie The Exorcist is what kind of got me looking into the paranormal. Again, another movie that scared me, and then I started researching it, and I found out about ghost hunting and all that stuff, and the Warrens. I read some stuff about them. And it's kind of been, like I said, it's been something I've been into since I was a kid. The TV show In Search Of definitely fueled my passion, and it's just something I've always enjoyed reading about, researching. Whenever I get an opportunity, I hear about any kind of a legend or something out there that's the unexplained. I do what I can to get out there and go look for it.
Now, that's like I was researching legend tripping, and there's like this one gentleman on YouTube who is a legend tripper, but you know I think whenever I was looking at your blog spot, it your definition of legend tripping is more intriguing than some of the other people's, because I've seen like these legend tripping videos where these guys will just go to a haunted bridge as a these teenage kids, and then they'll flash their lights like 3 or 4 times and drive across the bridge hoping to see a ghost or something. But um, it seems like you take it a step further. Like just from what I've seen, uh, you go and the skunk ape's a big thing for you. I've
Hmm.
noticed that. That's a huge thing for you, and that's great. We just had a woman about 2 weeks ago, Karen Lawyer from the KBRO. She was on the show and she talked a lot about Sasquatch. And then uh, you do some of the the ufology stuff.
Yes, I'm a member of MUFON.
Oh, you are a member of MUFON.
Well, actually, funny thing is, I joined MUFON because I heard they were getting Bigfoot sightings. But if you're not a MUFON member, they're not going to, bring you into the fold and tell you about them. So,
I had heard a story on. I was listening to Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM. It's been years ago. It was one of those somewhere in time episodes. So didn't really know what day it was. Um, it was a rerun, an old air, and there was a lady on there who had claimed that she was kidnapped by Sasquatch, and that the Sasquatch were actually extraterrestrials. And there are people that believe that, and
oh, there's,
I'm not discrediting it at all, and I'm not saying that they're wrong. I don't want to get flamed on this show.
well,
This
I've
show,
heard them all.
yeah.
And, with all respect to everybody, every theory is, is on the table until, we 100% prove what this animal is. Every theory's out there. So I always tell everybody, I love to hear your stories, and I'm not going to discount them or make fun of them in any way because I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, the Earth is, in fact, a big, huge zoo that, some extraterrestrials have been coming down and putting animals from, who knows? I mean, it's far fetched as that sometimes sounds. It might be, you know. Um, but I wanted to go back a little bit to that when you referred to the definition of legend trivia. If you look on Wikipedia, that's pretty much what their definition is. It's about adolescent teenagers breaking into or trespassing into houses, or But I didn't like the idea of the term legend tripping being associated with any illegal activity because it's such a neat name. And as a teenager, I used to go do that stuff, but I don't remember ever breaking in any buildings or doing anything that was going to get me in trouble with the law. But so I said, it's to go on a quest and look for something unexplained or a mystery. You know, it didn't have to be have a like you said, teenagers doing stuff like that. But I mean, I mean, I can tell you a story as a teenager when I was able to talk two of my friends into going out. Where there was a story of a headless railroad worker that supposedly was in this park in Kansas that only came out at midnight. So I talked to a friend of mine. Let's go out there, and we went out to the park because they stayed open all night. And we went to the spot, but the railroad tracks had been, picked up and all that. We were out there waiting. It was in Kansas. It was kind of cold, and we were waiting and waiting. And then my friend was like, I think this is a bus. I think we need to leave. And just as we were starting to get back to the car, I looked down the wood line where the railroad tracks used to be, and we could see a light. So we all just froze and looked at it, and the light was coming closer and closer. And it's kind of funny because we never really thought what to do if we actually saw this thing. So anyway, it came. We started walking back to the car, and we see the light come out onto the field, and it starts coming toward us. And then, of course, we started to hit the old panic mode. Like, what if this headless ghost is looking for a replacement head? And all of a sudden, we hear out of the darkness, "Hey, what are you kids doing over there?" And we all froze, and the light itself, or lantern, turned out to be a flashlight. It was one of the park workers, and we kind of sighed of relief, like, "Oh, thank God, it's not a real ghost." And we told him what we were doing, and he said, "Oh no, that's over in Missouri. You're in the wrong state. That's 100 miles away from here." So I mean, the legend actually was there. We were just not in the right place.
Uh, and it does seem like a rite of passage for a lot of people. I
Hmm.
I remember I remember as a youth, always being interested in the paranormal, and like me and you have discussed, I've been doing paranormal research for 16 years as an adult. Um, Being a youth, I used to go to places. Here we had you have your haunted railroad tracks or whatever. Um, there's a child that had been ran over on a by a train, and you can see him playing down the train tracks at night, and everybody would go out there or take their girlfriends out there and get them a good spook.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, in Azalea, which is about 17 miles north of here, um, there was a story. It's published in a book called Hoosier Haunted Trails, and that's written by Wanda Lou Willis, and she was a folklore professor up at Indiana University in Bloomington. And
Mm-hmm.
she wrote two books. She wrote the Hoosier Haunted Trails and the More Hoosier Haunted Trails, and she had wrote a book about the Azalea Bridge, and it was about a woman who back in the early 1900s had became pregnant, and she was pregnant out of wedlock. She was disgraced by her family, so she was grief stricken that her family didn't talk to her, so she took her baby and tossed it over the bridge. Well, then she decided that that wasn't the thing that she wanted to do, so she committed suicide thereafter, trying to save the baby, or jumped in after the baby and died, or something like that. And so you're supposed to be able to see this woman walking the bridge, and then you can hear the baby crying. Now, doing research and stuff in folklore, I noticed that there are tons of bridges all throughout the United States that are just like this one. You
Oh
know,
yes,
so
the Crybaby Bridge, I think, is the
they're
nickname for those kind of bridges.
very, very popular. Yes, it's a very
Yes.
popular name, and almost every state has two or three of them.
Well, oddly enough, when I did some research on the headless railroad worker, there's like four other states all have this, and I kept thinking, my God, was this like a dangerous profession to do back then? I mean, there's there a lot of headless. I mean, is that something that you have to watch out, getting your head cut off working out there?
See, what now? I actually went to this bridge, and I did a paranormal investigation.
Hmm.
It was Mother's Day, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I was married to a woman at that time who was into paranormal investigating, and we'd went there, and I used an Ovilus. I ordered one from Digital Dowsing, and I, I I had waited probably 6 months to get this, and once I got it, that's when we decided we'd go out and try it out. And it just so happened as to be around Mother's Day, so we went out on Mother's Day weekend, and we went up there, and we thought it was pretty fitting because this woman who was a mother tossed her baby into the river,
Hmm.
and we weren't getting anything on the obvious at all. We were out there probably 30 minutes, and then I said, well, if you're not going to talk to us, I'm just going to leave. That's it. I said, we're going to go. And I stood up from this rock that I was sitting on underneath the bridge, and started to walk towards the car. And as I started to walk towards the car, the Ovilus in my hand, I had it on phoneme mode, and it said, "No, don't stop. Please sit down now," just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was amazing. It was pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, I mean, here in Florida, we have in fact, it seems like almost virtually every lighthouse here in Florida, with the exception of two of them, are all haunted. Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you do a lot of paranormal investigation? I think you said that your wife likes the paranormal more than the crypto.
Yeah, my wife's going to that's kind of how it really, I guess a long story short, how we started coined ourselves legend trippers. I was originally into the cryptozoology and the UFOs and all that other stuff. And Tracy, my wife, was more into the paranormal. She was going out with ghost hunting groups and doing some stuff, and I was going with her. Well, she was coming out with me on my Bigfoot hunts. So we both kind of said, we both kind of like just doing it together. So, instead of just calling ourselves Bigfoot hunters or monster hunters or ghost hunters, let's find something in between. And we found the term legend trippers. So we said, yeah, I like the sound of that. So that's what we've been going as. But yeah, she's definitely more the expert on the paranormal than I am. And I go with her. She interviews the witness or the person who owns the house, and from there, I help her set up the cameras, and I just pretty much let her go do her thing. And if she needs me around, I'll go find a spot that where supposedly some activity's been going on. I'll pretty much just sit there and wait for something to happen.
Now, with the skunk ape stuff. Now,
Yeah.
I do have a video. I'm gonna play this video. It's got a story. Now this is it's not the entire video. It's just a clip. It's probably 10, 11 minutes long, but it's the clip from Monsters and Mysteries in America. It's got the story that of this skunk, one of the a skunk ape encounter that she had.
Yes.
So let me find that here. I know I've got it. I loaded it up a little bit ago. The way this program is I've got like I've got several things here. No, that's not it. Let me find it real quick.
Okay. See the picture of Josh Gates,
Yeah,
big time legend surfer right there.
he's just you know as far as like celebrity, uh, I guess you would say celebrity ghost hunters would go.
Mm-hmm.
Smells pretty. It's pretty nauseating.
A horrible stench.
In the past 2 decades alone, over 100 sightings, making Florida the second hottest spot for hairy hominids in America, after the Pacific Northwest.
This creature is almost half ape, half human. It walks like a normal human up on its 2 legs, but it's covered in hair like an ape. Some Bigfoot are passive-aggressive, others are very aggressive, and this fits the southeastern model of the skunk ape.
Compared to the Bigfoot, it's a little bit smaller. And it said that because of the swamp area here, the animal is a little bit more aquatic. It has been seen going through the water.
The legend dates back hundreds of years. In the early 1900s, discoveries of giant bones and skulls, some unearthed in Florida, fueled speculation that a race of hairy bipedal apes might still exist somewhere in the swamps. If the skunk ape was out there, no one really knew. One man was determined to find out. Retired Army MP Robert Robinson is a teacher and father of 4.
Being in the military has helped me with attention to detail. I was a military police, so I questioned everything that I saw.
Robinson's investigative eye would be put to the test. And he enlisted his own family to help him search for the beast.
My whole night's adventure actually started when I got wind of a sighting that had taken place by a hunter out there. He had seen the skunk ape.
What do you think's out there, Dad?
I don't know, but we'll find out.
So grabbed up the family and we came out there where this creature was sighted.
This is kind of crazy, Dad.
In the winter, the swamp goes dark early.
Let's meet up in about 20 minutes, okay?
We'll go this way. Give me a call on the radio.
I broke the family up into 2 groups. I had my wife and my stepdaughter. They were going to go ahead and take the main road.
Robinson and his son went down a different trail.
It was pitch dark. I don't like to use flashlights. I like to keep it as dark as we possibly can. I had a night vision camera that I just got a hold of, and I wanted to see how it worked. all of a sudden we get a woof of something that sounds like a dead animal. And all of a sudden I noticed everything just went quiet. Usually you can hear crickets, you can hear some kind of movement going on. It just got dead quiet.
So quiet, Robinson wasn't aware when his son disappeared from view.
Son. Son.
So I'm sitting there debating what to do. Because I don't know where my son is.
Son.
Then I heard something moving off into the woods, and it sounded really large. It sounded like something on two legs moving. And it sounded very heavy compared to me. Whatever it was, it sounded like it was getting closer. I pull up my night vision goggles, I point in the direction, and I see these eyes looking at me. And I just kind of went, am I really seeing this? I'm looking at it, and then all of a sudden, I see it blink, and a chill went down my spine.
Cut off from his wife and daughter, his son missing, Robinson was now close to panic.
There's no question about it now. I'm seeing something real. I'm hearing this creature coming closer and trying to look around for my son.
All of his senses were alert to the horrible prospect. The monster was right there.
I could hear it breathing. Instinct was saying, there's something big out there.
Only Robinson can't leave, not without knowing his son is safe.
And then I hear a noise behind me, and I'm thinking, oh great, there's another one. It's my son. And I could see the look on his face.
Dad, what is that?
It starts moving again toward us. I didn't have a gun or anything like that. My son kind of leans over and goes, maybe we ought to leave now. We start backing up a little bit. I didn't know if this animal was going to come out at us. And then I hear a scream. I've never heard a scream like that before. I've heard the panthers, I know what a bear sounds like, but that was something entirely different.
Running towards his car, Robinson prayed his wife and daughter were already there.
I was worried about everybody out there. I looked over and I could see my wife and my daughter standing outside of the car. And then all of a sudden, we heard the scream again, and it was loud. It echoed all the way through the swamp. That was the skunk ape. It left a lasting impression on me. It's something I'll never forget.
Skunk ape has a habit of surprising the unwary. A junior scout leader decided to try a shortcut on the way back to camp. That trail led directly to the bulky beast of the swamp grass.
It stood up to be at least my height, perhaps more. I found the creature staring me straight in the eye. What would you do?
That's all I got of that clip.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, he looks a lot better than, because, I mean, the real story behind it, me and my son were on a dirt road when this all happened. And we had swamps on both sides of it, and everything all took place on, we were heading, I think, north, and it all happened on our east side of the road. And it wasn't quite as foggy. I remember it being really, really dark. And when I couldn't find my son, I mean, I thought I thought the noise had made him take off running back to the vehicle. But what had happened was he propped himself up against a tree, and I just couldn't see him at the time. He didn't leave out. He was always there. So I just, I mean, it was pretty, hair raising, and the noise this thing made out there. Just, I mean, I've never heard anything like it. And But I mean, watching that on the show, I said, "Boy, it looks a lot cooler out there." Not to mention all three of my sons are they're half Korean, so they have Oriental looks to them. And when my son Josh watched it, he said, "Wow, they got some white boy playing me."
That's funny. My
Yeah,
little my little brother's half Korean. He's about 4'8", and he's he's a really cool kid. Me and him, we go to the gym every day. He's up to 150 pounds now of muscle, so he's working out.
oh yeah, I mean, all three of my sons. My oldest son, he lives up in North Carolina. He's a tattoo artist. My second son, he's living with us right now, going to college and working, and he's a big, huge, MMA fighter slash bodybuilder. And my youngest son, who was, the one in that video there, he's up in North Carolina going to college now. So
No, he's the one from the wife swap, right?
yes, he's.
I've got like part of a clip of that, and I'll show that like later. But it's just the beginning part of it. I thought I'd throw it out there for people just to check out, because it's nice for people just to check out some of the stuff that you've done. And,
it seemed like a good idea at the time,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a bad episode, and like you were saying with the this monsters and mystery, monsters and mysteries of America stuff. A lot of it's just Hollywooded up, so I mean, they make the situations look a lot worse than what they actually were through editing and all this other stuff. So I mean, don't criticize it too much. Some people just buy right into it, but I know better. I've talked to you, and I think that you made a good. You were trying to make a good decision, based on the things that you do and stuff like that. So it's all right. But while I was looking around, I'm gonna show this. While I was looking around, I kept seeing pictures like this right here. This one that I've got on the screen. So it's got it. I was like, what the heck is that? So I was thinking maybe it was like these old Western style photos and stuff that people take sometimes. And then I got to looking further, and I seen that you had done some stuff with Weird Florida, on the road again.
Yes, Charlie Carlson. In fact, he's like a second father to me. He's the one who encouraged me to write my book, and he does the opening for my book for me.
Oh, see, I was looking and looking and looking, and I couldn't find any episodes of Weird Florida. All I found was like the introduction stuff, right?
Yeah, you gotta purchase the video. Well, not necessarily true. It does come on PBS, and you can purchase a copy of them. I mean, of course, he sent me a copy after it aired on PBS. But the pictures you're seeing now are of Charlie's book called Ashley's Shadow, which is about a haunting that takes place at this restaurant in Rockledge, Florida, which is right up the road from Cocoa Beach. And this young lady was brutally murdered in there, and to this day her ghost still is seen in the restaurant. And the Charlie decided to he got with some producers, and they are, in fact, I think they still got a couple more stuff to film, but I know it's like 99% finished. And he called and asked me if I would be interested, and he said, "I'd like to come be one of the deputies on the show." I said, "Well, I've never done a movie before." Well, actually, I have, but the other first movie really wasn't a movie. Oh, that's me and Charlie when we went down to Miami where they had the premiere of it, and that was pretty neat. They had quite a spread out there for us, some really, really good food, And
No, I seen the 2 minute. It was like a 2 minute trailer for this for
yeah.
the Weird Florida. I've
Hmm.
seen that. You guys, anybody in the chat room or anybody that's viewing outside the chat room, you guys can watch. You guys can check this out on check the trailer out on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just type in Weird Florida, and one of the scenes is they're talking about him and another gentleman in a red shirt are talking about where this woman was brutally murdered. And then
Yes.
it just so happens there's a bathroom there now.
Yes. Yes.
And
And
I
there's a
didn't know
TSC there.
I didn't know anything. I really didn't I really didn't put two and two together until I started doing a little bit more looking into these photos and stuff, and that's when I came across, of course, this right here, the book Ashley Shadow,
Hmm.
and it said from a 1934 murder, and then I went to the weirdflorida.org website, and I was able to find the trailer. I'll play the trailer here in a minute, but um, I know that you said that the trailer has really not much to do with the haunting and the murder itself. Now, have you ever
Are you
investigated any of this?
are you talking the Weird Florida show? Or are you talking the Ashley Shadow movie? What trailer are you talking about?
The trailer for the Ashley Shadow movie.
Oh, okay. I have been to Ashley Shadow. We have I've done actually two paranormal investigations there. Sadly, neither time anything happened, and unfortunately, I think it had something to do with some of the people that we had there. But um, it's the owner is a really nice guy, and he was really about. In fact, he sells that book, Ashley Shadow, in his gift shop there. And because he knows Charlie, they allowed us to do the paranormal investigations. But again, we had to wait till the restaurant closed, and this was on the weekends, and most restaurants, you know, don't close till like midnight. So, and I think if I remember correctly, I didn't really get to stay over too much next to the bathroom. I think I was upstairs where her room was supposed to be, and I stood up there and waited to see if anything happened. So, but he's kind of fictionalized a little bit of the story behind the young lady, and because they never did find out who murdered her. It's also a murder mystery. So that was kind of how he did it. It was a murder mystery, romance slash ghost story. Is I guess the best way to describe the movie. And I played Deputy Dewey in the when they do the flashback scenes in the olden days, right before she got killed. And if you got one picture where you see me next to the car with Charlie on the right and the other gentleman, I have those wet boots on because in that scene I had to go into the water and pull the dead body out of the river. So that's why I'm dressed the way I am.
I'll go ahead and I'll play the trailer.
Okay.
I'll play the trailer so everybody can just sort of watch it, just to sort of promo the movie and let people check it out. Um, I'm going to tell you right now, he, Robert is really hard to spot in this trailer.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
You
have a
see,
really small part in the movie.
you see the gentleman there on the left, or sorry, right, very far right with the mustache.
Yeah, that's Charlie Carlson.
That the in this trailer, Robert will be sort of knelt down behind Charlie in one of the scenes, and they're sort of looking over a, uh, a corpse. So I'll go
Yeah.
ahead and I'll play that real quick.
I'd like a single room, please. sorry. The only thing I have left is a double.
I'll be all right.
Go right out the door and take a left just a couple doors down. See Mr. Peters? He's the man that works for the DoXa magazines, the one you like so well. He's a writer.
We fished out of the river, Sheriff.
Dead body, huh?
Somebody's had a fit on this young lady.
And look at that. That ring on that finger right there?
Well, that tells me that this murder wasn't for a robbery.
Somebody tried to burn her because they didn't want her identified.
I was wondering if you keep your old records on microfilm?
Yep. What year?
1934.
Brad, let me in. It's Erin. Please, Brad, open the damn door. I saw her. I did. I thought I saw her.
I don't know. Her memory might not be so good, but did you see that ring she was wearing?
Yes, you can see it's supposed to have been finished in 2014. But what happened was Charlie had had cancer, and he had to go into the hospital and have it removed. And then, of course, he had to be, he had to go to rehabilitation for a while. So the movie was kind of put on hold for a while till he got all better. But he was, when he finally got back out there, I'll tell you, he was out there hard charging with the rest of us. We filmed a little shootout scene, and I tell you, he seemed to be back to his old self again.
Now, you said that he inspired you to sort of start writing your book.
Yeah, he originally wrote Strange Florida, and in fact, to be honest with you, if you ever see that now, you'll be lucky if you find it for anything less than $100 right now. And he was contacted by the people that did the Weird U.S. series, and he wrote Weird Florida, which became a bestseller. And he's wrote some other books, and Ashley Shadows, of course, is one of them. But, we became friends. I went to, meet him and stuff, and he asked me to do some presentations on legend tripping. And what I noticed most is that a lot of when I was taking questions from people were zoning in on the fact that my family came out with me. And, a gentleman said to me, I can't get my son to go out, camping or fishing or anything with me. He just wants to stay home and play video games. And I said, well, next time you want to go out, tell me, instead of saying you want to go camping, tell me you want to go on a Bigfoot hunt. And he says, oh, okay, I'll try that. And he later on, he contacted me and said, it works, during the daytime we go fishing and stuff, and at night we go looking for Bigfoot. So, we're having a great time. And then Charlie said, you really need to put that on paper. Everything that we were sitting around talking about, and you know what? I'll do the opening for your book. How's that? And I said, hey. So, it took me over a year to write it. And to be honest with you, I'm probably in the process now of going back. I got a new publisher, and I'm going to do a couple revisions to it. And I want to add, there was some stuff that I didn't get to add to it the first time that I'm going to add to it.
Okay, so you've written the book. It's essentially just about it's about taking your family out and experiencing these new things and stuff that they normally don't get to do. I know that I've taken my son with me. David Heatherly. He's the founder of Access to Paranormal, the paranormal group that I'm with, and I've taken my middle son with me on these investigations. It's something he's fascinated with, and it's something I'm passionate about. And he's actually got me looking into the whole Sasquatch thing, because I've not really done the Sasquatching, the squatching and all that other stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he has went out with his friend's dad squatching a couple of times. They went out camping and went squatching. So
Mm-hmm.
he sort of got me doing some research into it, and I got him looking into the paranormal stuff, and that's something that he really likes to do.
Oh, sounds like you guys are legend tripping.
Yeah. So I mean, we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broadening my horizons right now.
Mm-hmm.
For the past 16 years, it's been essentially, you know, just ghosts, spirits, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're working into different fields. I think that's really cool.
Well, the best way to describe a book is a guidebook. It's a guidebook on how to take your family on a real adventure and go look for Bigfoot or conduct a paranormal investigation or a ghost hunt. How to go look for buried treasure, because there's still a whole bunch of, treasure legends out there, unfound gold and all that stuff out there. And I do touch on ufology, not a whole lot, in the fact that, and again, this is my opinion, and I'll probably have some ufologists will probably disagree, but it just seems that a lot of times when people see UFOs, you really don't see them again the next, you can't go back out in the same night and see them again. I mean, I understand it does happen on rare occasions, but what I found is to go to areas where there's been a UFO landing or something like that. Like in Aurora, Texas, there's a cemetery where supposedly there is a body of a little alien buried there. So, and in fact, folks, if you ever go there, make sure you get on. Don't just go over to the cemetery and go in there. You'll get in trouble. Just when you get there, you'll see a phone number. Call that number. The police will come over and they'll let you go walk around in there. They're very, very strict about how they let people go in there.
I've noticed that quite a bit about different graveyards. A lot of times people, especially in the ghost hunting field, they will go out to graveyards, and they will go out after dark, and they don't realize that graveyards are closed from dusk till dawn.
That's correct.
There's not a visiting hours posted on most graveyards, especially like some of your smaller graveyards, or pioneer graveyards, old friends graveyards, stuff like that. The bigger graveyards that are gated, yeah, those have gates that close whenever it's dusk, and they open whenever it's dawn. Um, but the other graveyards, if you're out messing around in them and somebody doesn't want you down there and they see you down there, they will call the cops, and the cops will come and arrest you for criminal trespassing. So,
Oh yeah, they'll cite you. They're definitely. Most of the time, though, if it looks like you're just doing a ghost hunt and stuff, they'll just kind of let you off with a warning, saying But because in the past they've had I hate to say it, they've had some teenagers that that vandalized some of the stuff. So you're right. They're you got to be careful when you go into these places. Definitely get permission before you go in there.
yeah. And when you get permission, make sure you talk to whoever is running the shift there at the police station. So I've had to do that a couple of times. And
Hmm.
there's a graveyard in North Vernon, which is probably 15-minute drive from here, and it has a legend to it, the Bloody Mary legend, and almost every state has the Bloody Mary legend. But you got that over there, and and people would go over there at night and they would tear up the graves. So there's a lot of unmarked graves there, and the police would come in and start arresting people that are over there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, in my book, I go over, I say, hey, don't ever, if you're out with your family, don't break the law. Because, I mean, what kind of example are you to your kids if you're out there breaking the law? Because, you're not setting a good example, and you're kind of teaching them how to do that. I mean, a lot of times, I have been cited, well, not, I should say, I have been caught trespassing, and I can honestly say it was accidental. When I was out on a skunk ape hunt, I ended up going into an area where there was no fence, but it turned out I was. And luckily, when I do go out there, I don't go out there with any kind of a weapon. I take bear mace with me. So when I was down in the Everglades, I came into Seminole property. I didn't know it, and sure enough, the police show up and they, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just out here, And he said, well, we've had some poachers. And I said, well, I don't have a gun. And they just looked at me and said, what are you doing out here? I said, I'm out here looking for the skunk ape. And he went, oh, okay, that's different. Well, technically you're not supposed to be out here, but we'll just just go ahead and let you go. But, if I had been out there with a gun, they would have definitely have nailed me with poaching. Even though I wasn't out there poaching, they would have got me for it. And so, I went back and I said, oh, I better be a little bit more careful about where I go walking around out here. But, most of the places I've been able to do, I get permission. If I don't get permission, then I don't do it. And especially when I got my family with me, I'm not going to go put ourselves in that kind of position. And it's not, like I said, it's not a good example for your kids to go out there and break the law, because what's going to happen is they're going to end up getting older and they're going to do something, and then something bad can end up happening.
oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. So, whenever you're going out and you're teaching them to be responsible. Another thing I really like about taking the kids out and with you on these legend trips is teaching them about the equipment, and not just teaching them about the equipment, but teaching them how it works. Now, you have a whole list of stuff on your blog spot. I mean, entire list of stuff, and I couldn't grab it all, but I did grab some stuff that just sort of caught my eye. And like this right here, you got this nice little night vision camera here. You can see all the little IR lights.
That's actually my son's night vision. In fact, when you saw that little take on that TV show, Monsters and Mysteries, that was his night vision that we took out there that night. And that's it right there.
Now see, that kind of thing is just it's just amazing. Now that's just like the headpiece, right? You're
gonna think this is funny. He got that with a video game, and it fits just like a military headpiece, and it actually works. I mean, it works really good. And if you have a red flashlight, it even extends your range out even further with it.
Really? What video game?
Oh, I think it was a Call of Duty or something like that. I forget which one it was. I have to ask him.
Yeah, ask him. That's really cool. Because we were talking the other day about FLIR cameras.
Oh yeah.
Right? And the price of them. We all know that the price of these are expensive, and you came across this nice little gadget that attaches to your phone.
Well, the one that you're showing right there, that's a $3,000 jobby. That's called the Scout FLIR. Now, I mean, it is a really good FLIR, but the only problem is you put it up to your eye at night, and then you take it down, it messes with your night vision. And I used it one night, and I ended up getting a really bad headache. But going on to what you're saying, they now have them for cell phones. And in fact, it's not FLIR has one, and there's a new one that just came out called Seek. And that's the one I bought. It costs $300, and it attaches to the bottom, and it hooks on the bottom of your my Android phone, and it pops up on the screen, and it actually has quite a distance on it. Me and a friend of mine, Kevin, took it out last weekend, and we actually tested it to see how far we could go. And it's like it says on the box, 1,800 feet. You can see something out there, and it's true. I mean, when Kevin went way out there, I could just make out that there was something out there walking around. So I mean, and it's they're really cool. And now that with that price, a lot more people can have them. My wife likes it because you can use them for paranormal investigations as well.
Yeah, that's something that David has been talking about getting for a while, and maybe he can check into the uh, the attachment to the phone, the Droid phone. He's got a really nice um, smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool, and I mean, if it's going to save you, if it works, if it actually works, and it's going to save you, you know, $2,700, you might as well just try it out,
Yeah. Well, also that like I said, no, I'm just interrupting. That FLIR that you have right there, that does not have the ability to record. You actually have to buy another little recorder and attach it. Whereas this new one that you have that you put on your cell phone, you can start recording with a push of a button, real quick. And I mean, it's really easy to use.
And see, that's something that a lot of people are doing now, is using their smartphones instead of grabbing a bunch of equipment, because your smartphone, it has a voice recorder on it.
Mm-hmm.
It has a camera on it. It has a video recorder on it. So it's like a 3-in-1 thing. And if you can use that, and even you can get apps and stuff for, like, if you're into paranormal, you can get apps for white noise generators and
Mm-hmm.
other stuff. So using your smartphone, the quality of the smartphones and the way that they're coming out now, they're more and more advanced, and they've got more and more sensors on them. It's just so much easier to carry one piece of equipment rather than 500 pieces of equipment. Whenever I first started paranormal investigating, we had fishing vests. We would put a fishing vest on or something like that, and that has a bunch of pockets, and we'd have tape recorder here,
Mm-hmm.
batteries here, camera here, film here, because I was always into analog. So
Mm-hmm.
everything I did was analog. We didn't do digital.
Mm-hmm.
Digital was great, but analog was better because you had a negative for proof.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have my film here, and then my recorder, and extra tapes for my recorder, because I used cassette tapes instead
Oh
of
yeah,
digital.
so did I. Oh yeah, I started off with my first night vision video camera. Was cassettes. So
It was
yeah,
probably the Sony Night Shot, wasn't
it
it?
was. In fact, it was
That
Sony
was
night.
that is still the number one. That is still the number one infrared portable handheld camera, because when you look at the digital cameras that come out now, there's not a true infrared. They're all just like a low lux, and low lux means low light. So it gives you the feeling of an infrared, but all it's doing is just picking up light that's at a lower end of our spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for them to be able to see in the infrared and the ultraviolet, they actually have to tear the camera apart and take these filters out. There's a filter in there for the infrared, and there's a filter in there for the ultraviolet. Once you take those out, you have to put it all back together, and then it becomes functional as a multi-spectrum camera. And that's something that a lot of these ghost shop and ghost warehouse and all those guys, they're selling these things, and they're selling them for $200 or $300 more than what the eBay price would be for the standard model. Because they tear it apart and they take these things out, and then they sell them to the ghost hunters, or paranormal investigators or whoever. So this right here is a trail cam, right?
Oh yes, I have 4 of them, and I like they're nice to have, and but I like to put them in like different locations because one, I like to like saturate a area. If I get told there's a sighting, I like to put them in different areas because you don't know exactly where it's going to come back at, and most of the time, unfortunately, if this animal knows that it's been seen by humans, it's probably not even going to come back there. these animals tend to shy away from humans, especially when they're seen. So I like to try to find the area. That one clip that you saw of us doing with my family, what had happened was there was a hunter that was out that 2 weeks prior, Thanksgiving weekend, and he was up in a tree stand and he saw it. The thing came walking right in front of him, and he took out his cell phone and started filming it. And the thing stopped and looked up at him, and he realized it wasn't the guy in the suit. It was a real animal. And luckily, the thing took off running on him because he said he didn't really know what he was going to do. If he was going to, because I said I had my gun with me, but I really didn't know what to do because it didn't seem menacing. But when it looked up at me, it scared the tar out of me. But then it took off running. So he took me out there, and so we took a thing to see which direction that it went. And that's where I took my family that night, where I said, okay, it might be in this area. So let's go walk around this area. And just so happens there was something out there. But, one of the things there I was going to go set up a trail camera that night. But unfortunately, we ran into something and I never got to put it up.
No, the trail cams they're really common in my area. I live in southern Indiana, and deer hunting is really big in southern Indiana, and hunters, they'll use the deer cams, these trail cams or whatever, so they could see deer coming and going from different deer trails. And
yeah.
when I first seen people using these, I was like, well, that's genius, because if you look, you've got at the very top there, you've got all these little lights, right? And people don't realize that those are infrared lights.
Yes, they are.
We can't see those with our eyes. It's the same style light that's on the end of your remote control for your TV, and you can't see that with your eye. Now, right below that is the camera lens. It's just that small black circle. Okay? That will pick up that light. A lot of cameras will pick up or see so far into the infrared spectrum. If you take your cell phone camera and you hold up your TV remote and you press a button, you can see the light on the end of that TV remote light up on a lot of cameras. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then right down below that is a motion detector. So there's going to be a little bit of delay between the time that the motion detector picks up movement, but it's not. They've got them so far advanced now that the delay from the motion sensor to the camera taking the snapshot is very minimal.
Oh, I tell you, you're right about. I mean, the advancements they've come with these. I mean, they got them where you can go up and they got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to where you don't even have to open it. You just go up to it, type in the code, and it'll transfer all the pictures to your cell phone without you even having to mess with it.
Yeah, those are a bit more expensive.
Oh yeah,
because
$400 or $500.
Yeah, they start out, the trail cams start out around $50 to $60, just depending on how much memory and pictures it holds and stuff like that. And then the quality of the picture, your megapixels and the delay between the motion sensor and the camera itself, as the quality goes up, that delay is lower. So sometimes you got to spend a little bit of money to get better quality equipment, but just starting out, if you're just starting out doing that kind of stuff, and you want to try these things, get the cheap ones. It's okay.
Well, I'll be honest with you, that's what I usually buy because I like to buy more than one. And I do lock them up, though, because unfortunately I did buy a $200 one, and it got broke. Even though I locked it up, somebody grabbed it and tore it off the tree. But, if you do decide you want to buy the super ultra expensive ones, I encourage you to make sure you buy a good locking system, because there are really nice people out there that will come out there and remove your camera from wherever you got it set up. And another thing, too, also try to put them up really up high. For some reason people like to put them their eye length, okay, and then that's usually where you end up getting stolen. I usually go out there, I'll find a place, and I'll try to take it up real high, and then I aim it down. And a lot of times Kevin will give, our friend or Nick is with me. They'll give me a boost up so we can, find a good tree where people can't easily get up to it. But, especially when it comes to Bigfoot hunting, you got it too low, who knows, this animal, maybe it can pick up on the infrared. I don't know. Supposedly I was told by a scientist there is no animal out there that can see infrared, but who knows. But I am saying if you do take trail cams and you are going to do Bigfoot hunting, put the camera up really high and then just kind of prop a stick behind it to aim it down. And you run a lot less risk losing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, the next piece of equipment we'll talk about here in just a minute. I'm going to take a quick intermission, a little 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to the show, okay? So everybody grab yourselves a drink and use the restroom if you got to.
Lord, I
All right, welcome back, guys. I hope you all had a chance to grab a refresher of your drink and get yourselves a little bit of snack or something like that. um, so we're back here with Robert, and we're talking about some of the equipment that he uses on some of his investigations for squatching, skunk ape hunting, or doing paranormal investigating and stuff like that. It's been an awesome interview so far. Really great show. I hope everybody's enjoying it. If you guys are, make sure you give us a green thumb and suggest feature. Get us on the front page and get some more people in here for us. Robert, you there?
Yeah, sure am.
Okay, this piece of equipment right here is GPS, and I can see why you need GPS, being out in the swamp and stuff where you're at.
Well, Bigfoot hunting is actually starting to get a little bit more popular with that TV show Finding Bigfoot and some of the other shows that's going on. But unfortunately, a lot of people kind of think it's just like a little day trip. You just go out there with a camera and just walk around and they end up getting lost. And, so I always tell everybody, you need to have some kind of a GPS. Luckily most phones have GPSs on them now. But I always like, and like you said, how you bring your kids into the investigation or make them part of it. That's something that you can make one of your kids do. Say, hey, you're going to be our navigator. Your whole job is to kind of keep a track of where we're at all times, so that way, especially at night. Because I'll tell you, I've been out in the nighttime in the middle of the woods where I'm like, I don't know which way's north and stuff, and like the one night I was out with a friend, he wanted to show me his hunting stand, and then I said, I looked around, I couldn't figure out which way we had come into the woods. And he actually had to pull out his GPS and find our way back, and it turned out the road that we had come from was not more than 10 feet from us, but you couldn't see it with all the trees. And I kept thinking, you got to definitely have some kind of a device, or at least be a little bit more aware of where you're going out there. You can get lost really easy, especially at night.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, because a lot of people, whenever they do go and do these investigations, they don't do it during the day. They feel that they have to do these things during the nighttime for some reason. I have no idea. I don't know whether it's just the way Hollywood plays it up, or maybe they think that Sasquatch and skunk apes, Bigfoot, Yetis, they think that all those things are nocturnal or what. But I do notice that they do a lot of night investigations, and that's when they feel that they're going to collect the most evidence. But most of the videos that I've seen regarding these encounters have been during the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was true, then
well, I mean, they feel like that these animals they've been seen more times at nighttime, but they're hard to videotape at night. A lot of people don't have night vision or thermals when they go out there, so they really a lot of times they don't get them on film. Whereas some people have been lucky enough to to get them on the daytime. That the hunter that I told you used the cell phone. This was like at 6 o'clock in the morning that he saw this thing, when the sun was just coming up. And but they do seem to be a lot more active at night, and that's when they're seen around. They like to come out at dusk, and that's a good time to if you can try to find them, or wait for them, or definitely in the morning time when the sun's coming up. There's another good time that I like to go out looking for them.
Now, before we talk about the next piece of equipment, I've really got a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, okay, it's where I'm at here in Indiana. We call it a Bigfoot. Now, a state over in Ohio, they call they call it a grass man.
Yes, the Ohio grass man.
Now, from Washington to British Columbia, in that area and on through other parts of Canada, they call it Sasquatch.
Because the Native Americans refer to it as that.
Now, why do they call it skunk ape?
Oh, well, actually, the term skunk ape itself actually originated in Arkansas. It was seen over in Arkansas, or the wild man, and it just so happens when it was, the settlers came over to Florida, they just started calling it the skunk ape, because it does at times give off a really, really foul smell. But if you ever see it, so does Bigfoot, so does the Ohio grassman. All these animals seem to, at some time or another, give off a smell, which I personally, and I agree, there's a couple other people, cryptozoologists, that presented this idea, and I happen to agree with it, that it's kind of a when these animals go into the mating season, primates, and gorillas, I'll use as an example, sex pheromones. The males sweat them out, whereas females, they urinate them out. And I think the smell that a lot of times that we're getting is the male sex pheromones coming out. They give out that really bad nauseating smell, because there are times when they've been seen, but nobody has smelled anything on it. So, but the term is originally, like I said, came out. It was coined by some people up in Arkansas before it was ever used in Florida.
That makes a ton of sense. Honestly, I would have never had guessed. I would have never had thought of pheromones as in mating, because whenever I was talking to Karen, we didn't talk about smell or anything like that. We talked mainly about migratory patterns and the habitat and them being really good at blending in and camouflaging themselves with their environment and mimicking the sounds of other animals and things like that. So I mean, we talked about a broad array of things, but I'd always wondered why it was called the skunk ape down in Florida, because I have a friend on this website. I talked to her quite a bit, and she's real big into Sasquatch, and she's from British Columbia, and she gets upset when anybody calls it anything other than Sasquatch. And I was like, well, I mean, just different parts of the world. They call it Yeti here, they call it Grassman here, they call it Bigfoot here, and I can see they call it Bigfoot because as you got like pictures of the foot casts here. Let me find a picture here. I know I've got a picture of you with some foot casts here someplace.
Yeah, oddly enough, the whole term Sasquatch, believe it or not, really didn't gain popularity until that episode of the $6 Million Man came out, where they referred to it as a Sasquatch. That's when it actually gained momentum. Before that, it was just pretty much called Bigfoot.
Yeah, see, like this picture here, I've got right here. You've got this foot cast, and it's a huge foot, and that's where people in my region, from Indiana over to Illinois, would call it Bigfoot.
That was taken by a lady named Mrs. Bridges. That was up near the Panhandle. And she apparently has some activity. She was featured in one of the first episodes of Finding Bigfoot, where one of the animals came up and actually tried to push open her sliding glass window and left a print on it. And I've had the opportunity to go out to her area, and I tell you, that is definitely a target-rich environment for Bigfoot activity. And they do refer to it as Bigfoot up there. They don't call it, and up there, they don't refer to it as a skunk ape. It's funny when I put that picture out there too. Somebody thought that was a picture of a casting that I had made, and no, I did not make that casting. I just wanted a hold it up and get my picture taken with it. I think I lost one. I can't hear anybody anymore. Is my thing working?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
How about
okay.
that?
Oh, I got scared there for a minute.
I'm
But
sorry.
I done something on my end.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, that's my bad. It happens during this live stuff, and I got a message from my super duper operator there that that my microphone, I showed you the button the other day. Here, I'm going to show
Yeah.
I'm going to show everybody this special button that Sean DoXa has here. This right here, everybody, is my special super duper mute button. That way I don't have to mute the show through XSplit. I can just click the button. And the reason why I click the button is so everybody can hear the guest, because sometimes I tend to cough or sneeze or whatever, and I don't want to interrupt the guest. And you guys don't need to be hearing that while Rob's talking. So I'll hit this little button right here. And sometimes whenever I go to press it, it doesn't come back on. I apologize. Now you guys know the mystery as to why Sean DoXa will sometimes not be heard while I'm talking. So okay, where were we? What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Bigfoot print that I had in my hand up there, and like I said, up there in the near the Pando, they refer to it as they call it Bigfoot. I never once up there the whole time I was out there with Stacy Brown heard anybody call it the skunk ape. Now that picture there is taken at Gatorama, and it's funny too. If you can't really read it, but they more or less say, well, we don't know if we really believe it, but we're just going to go ahead and put this up here anyway.
Yeah, see, the thing is a lot of people are starting to speculate that these monster or these creatures, I'm not going to call them a monster. These creatures are moving through the waterways, and
that is a theory. Yeah, that is a theory that they use the waterways to. They're nomadic. They don't stay at one place for a long period of time.
Now see, some of those things are backed up by recent sightings, especially on Vancouver Island, where some of the First Nations people, they call them First Nations up there. We would call them Native American. Up there they call them First Nations. Some of the First Nations people up in British Columbia, especially around the Vancouver Island area, have seen a lot of these Sasquatchers moving along the rivers and stuff. So it's something that is known, or that people are starting to see in other areas. And the Patterson video.
Oh yeah.
When you see the Patterson video, you see the Sasquatch walking alongside what looks to me like a riverbed. So
well, yeah, there is a creek there. The animal, I guess, right when Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin came walking up, I guess it was bent over, doing something in the water.
So I mean, and there's a lot of. I showed a intermission the other day that had a lot of footage of Sasquatch and moving through waterways or near rivers and things. So a lot of these sightings that people are starting to come across sort of suggest that that would be a theory. And if these things are a solitary creature that have the same sort of mentality, or I can't say mentality, but same sort of intelligence as we do, we always consider ourselves the smartest thing on the face of the earth because, you know, we have these opposable thumbs and we build these great big skyscrapers and we've got laptops and computers and can communicate, you know, miles and miles away, but through the internet. But you know, there are solitary creatures out there that are smart. Dolphins are smart.
Mm-hmm.
They travel in packs. Just because they don't have the internet doesn't make them stupid. You know?
Well, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people for some reason, when they're out looking for it, they think they're dealing with something that has the intelligence of a bear. And you're absolutely right. These animals are a lot smarter. They're, you know, I don't know where they are on the evolutionary scale, but I mean, you know, they obviously know to stay away from humans. I mean, there's a, I don't know, a quick little story by Alexander the Great where he was having problems with some of this village that he had conquered. I guess they had these 10 wise men that were kind of, you know, pushing the unrest in the village. So Alexander pulled them up and he said, listen, you know, I'm going to ask each one of you a question. If you can answer the question correctly, I'll let you live. And he pulled one of the wise men up. He said, well, tell me, what's the smartest animal in the world? And he said, the animal that avoids man. And he goes, well, I guess you get to live. But I mean, just think about it, you know. This animal does know to stay away from humans, and it does. I mean, there have been some stories where these animals have, you know, supposedly attacked people. I don't know if I really believe those stories, but to the animal, because most of the time you know, these animals are usually seen leaving the area, or they end up getting away, they run away, or whatever the case may be. They hardly ever really stay in that area. So I mean, we are dealing with an intelligent animal.
Oh yeah, I do believe that 100% wholeheartedly that we are dealing with an intelligent animal. Or I mean, th- the way the way these things act and are, just because they prefer to be solitary, um, doesn't make them awkward. I think just as human beings, we tend to pass judgment on everything,
Oh yeah.
even on each other. That shy, awkward kid in class, he is cast, you know, to the side just because he doesn't like to talk or might be socially awkward. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of weird how we do those types of things. And right now, there's a big debate in the in that community, the Sasquatch community, about kill or no kill.
Well, if you're going to ask me, my whole position is I do realize we do need some kind of a specimen to prove the animals exist, but it's not going to. It's not going to be me that kills them. I'm not going to be the one that does it.
Yeah, I think that killing something living just to prove that it's there is, it just isn't right. I don't.
I don't know. It just to me. I mean, I was in the army for 21 years. I was in Afghanistan and all that, and you know, combat zones, and you know, I do have appreciation for life. And I mean, this animal didn't just do anything to deserve to be killed. I mean, I think somehow down the road we can prove these things are. You know, like somebody said, maybe we'll just get lucky enough to find one that has died of natural causes or something. But again, I do understand what science is saying, that they do need some kind of a specimen. You know, that the films aren't doing it, and you know, apparently all the hair that they're finding isn't matching up with anything that they, you know, associate with a primate. But again, it ain't going to be me that kills them.
Well, that's I think that's rather commendable. You know, I told you before that I grew up in a military family. My father,
Mm-hmm.
he served 22 years, and he did 2 tours, I do believe, in the first Gulf War over in Kuwait, and that caused him to have a lot of PTSD issues and uh, stuff along that lines, and you know, he's had to pull the trigger on people in his life, and you know, just to pull the trigger on somebody or something, um, just because, you know, in his mind is wrong, you know, and those are values that he still instilled in me as I was growing up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you 100%. This picture here, I really don't know what it is. I know
Does
that
that mean that's me in the Army back in 1987?
you look
I was,
like you look like one of the guys from Top Gun. You look like
yeah,
Goose.
oddly enough, oddly enough, that was when the movie came out. That's funny you should say that. I was over at, we were deployed down to Honduras, and I took a day off and I went out to see the Copan ruins. Being a legend tripper that I am, I wanted to see some real Mayan ruins. So you know, I grabbed some friends out and we uh, found a taxi, got ourselves a bus, and we went out there and looked at the Copan ruins and walked around, and it was pretty neat. I always thought that was a neat little head there. And
This had to have been what, late 80s, early 90s.
yeah, I think it was 1987.
I was going to say, because in the 80s I remember the Hawaiian shirts with the neck collars up and the aviator glasses. That was real popular in the
Yeah,
military.
yes.
It was like standard
Yep.
issue civilian uniform.
Everybody wanted to look like an aviator pilot during that time frame. Yes.
So yeah, you can tell I grew up on military bases. um,
Oddly enough, that shirt was the only shirt I could find that kept me cool out there in the heat. Because the rest of it, the rest of the shirts I have didn't really do it all that well. Because they didn't have North Face and Columbia shirts back in those days.
yeah, yeah. Now this gentleman here that you're with in this picture, is this is a guy. He's from the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Organization. What's so special about this gentleman? Because I've seen
That's
him
that's
in a lot of pictures on the
that's
internet.
Ken, yeah. That is Ken Gerhardt. He's a legend tripper. His dad was a legend tripper, and I've known Ken for a while. This is when me and him were down at the I think it was the 2012 Texas Bigfoot Conference. That's also where I met Josh Gates. And me and Ken have been friends for a long time. And he's been on numerous TV shows. He's done a lot of stuff on the Chupacabra in Texas. I think he lives in Austin, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, we've been friends for a long time, and you know, we like to share. You know, whenever I come down to Texas, I call him up, and we always get together and sit around and talk about all kinds of things going on in the cryptozoology world.
Yeah, I was wondering who he was, because I do see a lot of whenever I um, get online and I'm doing research and stuff, especially whenever I was doing research regarding you and and the stuff that you're into. A lot of pictures, whenever you type in legend tripping, this guy comes up, you know, and
Oh yeah.
and I was just really curious as about to who he was, because uh, you know, in I guess these pseudo sciences that you could say that we are into it, and that's pretty much what it is. It's a
Yes.
pseudo science that, and all of these things that we sort of dabble in. Um, you know, there are people that claim to be experts, and then there are people that are
Hmm.
just really good about the stuff that they do, and people trust them because they're no BS type of people, and the evidence that they put out is really good, and they treat people right, because you do get a lot of paradrama is
Mm-hmm.
uh
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah.
you
Um, well, I've always there's a lot of people out there that call themselves cryptozoologists. I mean, me personally, I don't call myself a cryptozoologist. I don't call myself a paranormal investigator. I call myself a legend tripper because I like to just go look for this stuff, and I read a lot about it. I'm well versed in it, but I don't consider myself an expert. If I was to call myself an expert on Bigfoot, I should be able to be able to take you right out to the woods and point you out a Bigfoot right off the bat. To be an expert, because you got Jane Goodall, who's an expert on gorillas. She can take you right out there and show you exactly where a gorilla is, right on the spot, if you asked her to. If you're going to call yourself a Bigfoot expert, you should be able to say, okay, come with me, Sean. I'm going to show you a skunk ape. Now, there he is. See, he's sitting in that tree right there. So, again, I mean, like I said, I read a lot of the stories. I do a lot of investigations, but I in no way call myself an expert on that stuff.
and that is about as well put as anybody has ever said it. If because there are a lot of people that are self-proclaimed experts, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then whenever you listen to these people talk about professional, well, I'm a professional uh, cryptozoologist, and I'm a professional paranormal investigator. Let's explain right now what professional means. Professional means you get paid. You get paid as a profession to go out and do this stuff. Zach Bagans, he's a professional paranormal investigator. That's what he does. He works for Travel Channel. He goes on these shows and he does his thing, and then he will do events throughout the year to pay his bills, right?
We met him. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, and he's huge. He's a monster. I just seeing like I just started working out about a year ago. Well, I've always sort of worked out, but I've never really tried to work out, gain weight
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And I've gained 20 pounds over the past year. I was like a real skinny guy, real small, and now I'm starting to fill out. Um,
I need to lose some of mine, especially a big muscle on my gut.
well, I tell you what, whatever you want to lose, I'll take to gain.
Well, I have been going back to the gym, and I have, been, but I can still go out there and walk with the best of them when we go out there hiking. So, I mean, I'm still in somewhat good shape. I just need to get rid of the gut.
A lot of people don't understand how much stamina it actually takes to do any sort of investigating, especially whenever you're doing a night investigation. You might have woke up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you've got to be up till 8 o'clock in the morning the next day, because you're going to be out all night. You're going to be doing your investigating. In my field, I'm going to be in a house investigating all night long, all day long. As long as I can, as many hours as I can get in on an investigation, and it takes a lot of stamina.
Oh, I tell you, whenever I go out with Stacy Brown, that kid can walk forever. I mean, one night I was with him, and he stuck me with this young little 18-year-old girl walking these trails, and and she had no problem. And thank God it was dark, because she would have seen me sitting there just gasping for air. And every time she says, "You want to stop and take a break?" I said, "Yeah, we can do that. That's fine." And then I turn away from her, just going, just hoping she couldn't see me. But I mean, I was sitting there thinking, I'll be darned if I pass out on her. I don't want to, But when we got back, boy, I tell you, I was spent. They walked me over, But I tell you, it does it. You get with these young kids, and they just they can go for miles.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. And honestly, David Heatherly, he seems to have more stamina than me. Every time I go to Whispers Estates to do an all-night investigation. I end up crashing out in one of the beds up in the attic, and he's always up all night. He's coming up and getting cameras and stuff at 6 o'clock in the morning, waking me up.
Well, I'll be honest with you. With the paranormal, I have to admit, I'll sit there and I'll sit there and I'll sit there, and I end up falling asleep where I'm at. I mean, there was one where supposedly there was a ghost of a nude lady, and I did my best to stay up awake for that one because I wanted to see her. Darn it, she didn't show though. She did make an appearance. I was a little disappointed on that one. But,
yeah, where's all the nude ghosts when you need them, right?
Well, I tell you, that was. So my wife said that's the only time I ever see you get excited about wanting to do a ghost hunt.
You got me blushing now. Where was this place at? Maybe we can exchange information later. You send it to me in an email. I might.
It was up in Pennsylvania. I don't remember the spot.
But, that's great. Pennsylvania is not too far. It's like 11 hours.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was an old school or something like that. No. Well, was it used to be a school or something? I can't remember what it was, but. Because we had decided to do two things up there. Because we didn't get to go do the penitentiary, the big, the Eastern State Penitentiary. That's gotten really commercialized. That one. It's a shame too, because they I understand they get some really good activity in that place.
Yeah.
But and that's another thing. It's a little disappointing. A lot of these places are like, charging you an astronomical fee to come and do a ghost hunt. We were, example, where we're living, we have an old movie theater or opera house, and we hit them up about doing the paranormal. And they said, yeah, but it's going to cost you $200 an hour. I said, $200 an hour? You don't even know if it's haunted yet. I mean, you should be paying us to go in there and find out if it's haunted for you first.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And just like I was telling you about that mansion that you were wanting to check into, make sure you talk to that realtor about about some of the state laws, because if somebody asks, they have to disclose the information, and they might want to know. I tell you what, since we've been talking about your wife, I'm going to play that little clip. It's 10 minutes or so. I'm sorry, it might be embarrassing for you, but it's the clip from Wife Swap. It's just a little. It's like the first so many minutes of it, but I'm going to play it real quick, just to sort of get it out there for everybody. All right. Well, that's pretty much the episode. I see. Yeah. I see what you're saying there with the GI Joe figures, what you said in chat there. Those weren't the ones that you were allowed to use or whatever for the filming. So
no, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of things that were just kind of. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it was just. Oddly enough, it was really fun doing it. I mean, I mean, I don't know. I would never do that show again, but it was fun at the time. It's just. There was a lot of things they left out that I really thought that it didn't show. They didn't show me taking my son to his Taekwondo practice, or me out there with my JRTC cadets marching them. But I kept thinking, they can't show me that because in the show they want me to be portrayed as a guy who wants to look for the swamp ape and do nothing else.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's something that's pretty. That's pretty upsetting. I like we told everybody that's watching right now. Don't take everything that you see on these shows for face value. A lot of the Hollywood stuff, it's all edited so they can make it more dramatic. The more conflict and controversy that they have on a show, the higher the ratings they're going to get.
Yeah, the more entertaining it is. Nobody wants to see a show where two families get along.
I honestly, I think it was sort of, I think it was like watching the video and that lady like reading the letter or whatever and just dying laughing whenever she started reading about the stuff that she done, I sort of knew right then and there that they weren't going to take your hobbies and stuff very seriously on the show
No.
at all. And
No.
you know it, and that's something that we in this sort of field have to deal with all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time, and we don't just deal with it from TV shows and this and that. We deal with it from friends and coworkers,
Oh,
uh,
yeah. In
every
fact,
everybody.
well, I had a section in my book about that called critical thinking. Where I mean, say, hypothetically, I like to go look for Bigfoot, and I want to take my son out. He doesn't. I shouldn't get. Don't get upset if your kids don't believe in it. They obviously haven't seen anything that would make them. But you can go ahead and take them out and subject them, but don't get upset if they don't believe in it. You know, just be happy they're out there with you doing it. And who knows, maybe they'll get lucky and see something and change their mind. But, I mean, I deal with people all the time in my school who don't believe in Bigfoot or ghosts or UFOs. I'm not offended. In fact, to be honest with you, I'd rather them be honest with me and tell me that than just, pretend that they do. I'm not offended because it's just something that hasn't been proven yet 100%. It's something I'm passionate about, and I do believe that there is a large primate in parts of the United States that hasn't been properly documented yet. I believe that there is some, paranormal activity. I do believe that there are, extraterrestrials, but I'm not offended if somebody comes up and say, well, I don't believe in that stuff.
Right. If you could, Robert, could you mute the show on the webpage?
Yes.
It's sort of echoing a little bit.
How's that?
Yeah, that's better. All right.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's fine. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of this equipment. Right here,
Okay.
Right here you have. I used to own one of these. I bought one at Walmart a long time ago, and you can't find them anymore. I bought a real cheap one for bird watching. It was in the sporting goods section with all the hunting equipment, and I bought it. I bought it for bird. It was a bird watching type of deal. Is what they had set it up for. National Geographic, and it was actually really good. And I used it for paranormal investigating. I just had a pair of headphones like I got right now that I plugged into a auxiliary jack that was attached to the side, and of course you could record with it too. This right here is sort of like a parabolic microphone. It's a sort of directional. Now, how would you use this in the investigations in the fields and stuff that you're in?
Well, I always give it to usually one of my kids likes to wear it because it's a neat old piece of equipment. I got it on eBay a long time ago, and it works really well. The battery life on that thing's great, and they just kind of if we're out walking around, and if one of them kind of hears something, we've kind of gone over where they kind of signal us and they kind of point in that direction. So we kind of focus over there, and whoever has the we call it the bionic ear, we kind of just focus over and see if it, and we'll focus our cameras over there, our night vision, whatever we have with us, and to see if anything transpires. They're great. The only thing is you got to be careful with them because you can actually damage your hearing because if somebody hypothetically next to them gets excited and yells, it goes through that and you can cause some ear damage to the person who's wearing them. So you just got to be a little careful. Now those ones there, you can record, but I think you can only record like a minute. So my wife, she has a little recorder. And we always plug it into that so we can go ahead and record stuff too if we're out there and we hear something. And there are times when we've heard some weird signals going on, or I should say, screams. And like you said before, there's been some theories that these animals are actually imitating other animals. We, for some reason, that when we've been out, we've been hearing a lot of owl sounds. And usually, you usually don't hear the owls in the daytime too much. And there was one time we were out there, and you could hear them like answering back to each other. We're kind of like, I wonder if that's one of those animals, or two of the animals communicating back with each other, kind of signal to each other that they know we're in the woods right now, walking around.
Yeah, that is something that has been talked about quite a bit. I know that a couple of shows ago I did play a good, I'd say probably 5 minutes worth of uh, clips. It was different clips that I had played of supposed Sasquatch sounds, and I know I had made a joke about it being a new record album sounding like Dying Cats or whatever. But hey, Ash, how you doing? Electric Raccoon. Electric Raccoon would be the lady I was talking about earlier, who is really into Sasquatch. Yeah, Shakira. Shakira's new album is what I called it, Little P.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I called it Shakira's new album, Dying Cats. It was pretty funny. It was really something to listen to. But I mean, just a lot of the different sounds. Like I had mentioned before, I used to do a lot of hunting whenever I was younger, and a lot of it was essentially for my uncle Walter. And my uncle Walter, he has a really bad heart. He's had a really bad heart for a very long time. He's had several open heart surgeries, but his son, his youngest son, was always in trouble with the law, and he's actually in jail, and he's been in jail for quite some time right now. But even at a younger age, he was in and out of juvenile hall. So he would ask me to go out with him hunting, raccoon hunting late at night. And my uncle Walter, he was on a fixed income, so he would take the hides from raccoons, and he would sell those for extra money. So he would have gas money or money to pay for his phone bill and stuff like that. A lot of people really don't agree with that kind of stuff, but he didn't let the entire thing go to waste. But while we were out, we would hear foxes and stuff like that. So a lot of the sounds that I had heard through that, I could play it, but I'm not going to load it up. I'm not going to take the time to dig through my archive to find that. A lot of the sounds that I had heard while listening to that video, that particular video, it was something that I had found on YouTube, and I found it very interesting. A lot of it did sound like regular things that you would hear while you were out. Now, while I was talking to Karen, she had described about how these Sasquatch and Yetis and Bigfoot and skunk apes, how they started to mimic these different creatures and things like that. And some of the things that I had started to find while I was doing this research were so far-fetched as to them trying to mimic human speech, and you would hear like a lot of these these audio recordings of what sort of sounded like people talking, but they were just sort of like babbles. But I mean, you didn't really see any like solid evidence pointing towards, well, whether that was actually real or something that was might have been hoaxed or what. So I couldn't really say. So I didn't put any of that up there. I just sort of left it with the animalistic sounds that because whenever people are doing these investigations, they have certain whoops that they do and shouts that they do and tree knocks that they do and things like that.
Well, this is one sound that I always thought to myself is definitely a Bigfoot. Let me see if I got it here. If you guys can, it was actually taken back in the 70s. Let me see if it. Let me make sure my volume is up here. What the heck? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that? Oops, maybe not. There's your room here.
Sorry about that. I had to go check on my son real quick. I heard him calling my name from the other room.
Okay. Did you guys hear that?
I heard it just fine. Yeah.
That was done by Alan Berry back in 1970. It's actually pretty popular. It was on In Search Of. It was on a couple of those Bigfoot movies that they had back in the 70s. He was out and he got told there was something out there, so he set up a microphone out there, and then lucky enough to get that, and he had it analyzed, and whatever the sound made it, they said it didn't sound like it could have been made by a human.
Now, have you had a lot of evidence along that lines?
Well, that night that I was out with my son and stuff, we didn't have any recording devices. Like I said, the night vision he had was strictly for night vision, and the screams that this thing made is just, and when we went out, the guy showed us where he had seen it. We did find some tracks, but they were 2 weeks old. I did take some castings, but they weren't good quality, and he gave me a copy of his video, but unfortunately, I don't have good evidence right now. I guess is bottom line that I could present and say, hey, this is some great evidence. Take a look at it. No, unfortunately, I don't, and I'm not going to fabricate any evidence just to get myself out there. I'm just going to keep on doing it, and hopefully I'll get lucky and get some good evidence.
See, that's something really good to hear, honestly, is somebody who's really critical. I'm sure you have like things that you keep to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because me as an investigator, I have certain things that I don't share with the public that I keep to myself because I like to have it. But if I were to present it to the public, it's sort of might not be what everybody. It's not solid evidence, and it's not something that I want to share with everybody.
Yeah.
So I feel that I get that, and I understand that 100%. You're going to have that evidence that isn't solid, and that you don't want to put out there as solid evidence, because you don't want somebody to come along and be like, okay, well, that's BS, that's total BS, and they go through and they'll nitpick, and that's something that a lot of skeptics do, is they'll nitpick every bit of evidence that you present to death.
Well, yeah, and I'll give you an example of that hunter who brought the video to me. He was out there, and he was hunting that morning, and at first when he saw it, he thought it was a guy in a ghillie suit, and he saw it come walking out, and he just thought it was odd the way that it was moving through the palmettos. It was moving really graceful, whereas a human would actually have a little bit more difficulty, and he noticed whatever it was wasn't carrying a rifle. And when it stopped, he kind of looked at it. I wonder if that's a skunk egg, So he took his camera and started filming it, and it looked up at him. And again, he said, "Holy crap, that's a real animal!" And then it took off running. But the way he said, he goes, I'm not looking to put this out there for, I don't want anybody coming and tell me I'm a liar. I know what I saw. I mean, I've been out there hunting for 30 years, and that's the first time I've seen this thing. And I said, I'm not even sure I believed in it before that day. But, I'm not, I know what I saw, and I know and I know the thing's real out there. And to be honest with you, I'm really envious of that guy. I mean, I'd love to have that feeling, to know that even you saw something that's real, and that not everybody gets to see this thing.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people don't really understand that you have all these accounts of eyewitness accounts of people witnessing a paranormal event, or seeing a skunk ape or a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot or a Yeti, whatever you want to call it. All right, or a ghost, or a demon, or whatever. You have all these different accounts. You can go through, especially like ufology. If you look at ufology, 95% of unidentified flying objects, right? They can be discredited. They can be accounted for, or have known to been accounted for all but 10 to 5% of unidentified flying objects. Well, the other 10 to 5%, they're still considered unidentified, because there is no logical explanation for why these events, or these I guess these people who have viewed this strange phenomena, there's no logical reason why these things have happened, right? So, and the same thing can be said about the paranormal, I know for sure, because you can look at different things like Vic Tandy. Vic Tandy, he wrote a paper called Ghost in the Machine. And it was about how he was sitting in his office late at night. He'd been working in this particular lab, for quite some time. But then he just started experiencing these paranormal events. He started seeing things in his peripheral. He started experiencing these feelings of uneasiness and stuff like that. And he had never experienced anything like that before. So he started doing research into things that had happened within the office that he was working in. And he found out that they had installed a fan in the ceiling about a month prior, or a couple of weeks prior to him starting to experience these paranormal events. And so he ended up going out and buying an oscilloscope, and a lot of people don't know what an oscilloscope is. It's something that's used by volcanologists to measure infrasound. And he used this to find out that there was a freestanding sound wave within the office that he was working in, and it was below. Sorry. Yes, it was below the human ear's capacity to hear, and it was actually causing his eyeballs to vibrate, and that's why he was seeing these hallucinations. And Hollywood has been using infrasound laced within the scores of horror movies for years, to get people who go to watch these scary movies and stuff to get this feeling of uneasiness and stuff while they're watching these horror movies.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
There was a college that actually laced some music they did an experiment and they laced music with infrasound, and they played these it was classical music to all these students who participated, and they later asked them to write down their experiences while they were listening to this music, and that's when, you know, the uh, the study of infrasound actually came out. They did actual reports on reports on this and everything else. So Vic Tandy, had laid that out for everybody in that aspect. There's a lot of different things that people don't understand that are out there that just because we don't see it every day doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Well, along that line, there is a story of an organ in a church, and apparently there is one of the pipes. I don't know how you describe it. When they would hit it, that would actually cause a person to almost experience sheer terror. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. I mean, there was people, all of a sudden they would have people running out for no reason, and they would say, "Why did you run?" "I don't know. I just got scared for some reason." And later on, they found out it was the pipes in the organ that was when it was being keyed, or whatever the term is when you play an organ. When it was being activated, if it was done a number of times, it would cause people to actually experience a feeling of terror. And they end up removing the pipe, because you can't have that kind of pipe in church. You want to keep people staying in church. You don't want to get up running out of the church, and nobody's going to want to go to church if they're getting scared to death.
Okay, now let's check out this. I've had this. People have been looking at this. I've had these binoculars up for a little while. Those of you that are just coming in, we're talking a little bit about equipment that Mr. Robinson, he's been using during his investigations and stuff. For those of you that are just coming in, Robert C. Robinson, he's the gentleman that's talking right now. He's been on Monsters and Mysteries in America. He was in a budget film that's going to be coming out. It's called Ashley's Shadow. He plays a small role in that. He's also an author of a book called Legend Tripping: The Ultimate Family Experience, which I do believe in myself. I do believe that legend tripping is a great thing for a family to do together, especially those that are believers. Get out there and experience things together. Go out and do paranormal investigations or squatching, or do some ufology work. It's good to sort of teach some things about the equipment that we use and the science behind it. I know a couple of shows ago I did a pretty lengthy show on EVP and sound, and I sort of took it from regular sound into theoretical physics, where I was talking about sound and higher dimensions and stuff like that. But that's really good to sort of get your kids to think outside the box, or your family to think outside the box and stuff like that. And that's what Robert's been doing for quite some time now. And he's a really great guy, and he's met a lot of people in the field, and he's gone to quite a few conventions, and he's got a lot of his work out there. He's got a blog. It's called legendtrippersofamerica.blogspot.com. Am I correct on that, Robert?
Yes.
And you can find him on Facebook. I'll try and share his Facebook link on the Access to Paranormal site sometime tonight. And right now we've just sort of been going on going over some of the things that some of the equipment we've talked about the FLIR, we've talked about the bionic ear, we talked about GPS and night vision. Binoculars, they're pretty much cut and dry. It just amplifies your vision, allows you to see further in distance, which is great, especially whenever you're out in the woods and you're trying to see across like a ravine or something like that. You guys got to understand that the world isn't flat. You know, there's a lot of dips and there's quite a bit of distance, and binoculars and stuff like that help quite a bit on that.
Yeah.
This right here, I didn't know existed. This right here is I was looking through his blog, right? And I seen this and I was like, holy crap, why didn't I find something like this?
Yeah.
This is a solar charger.
Yes, it is.
That is amazing.
It is. Because, I got it because, my cell phone, because I use my GPS on my cell phone. It has a light on it. It's got a little flashlight on the top. It's got a little lamp thing that you can, it's got two light settings, and it's got a little thing on the bottom, like a little clip that you can clip to your backpack. So when you're walking, or you can't see the other side, but the other side has the charging that you keep in the sun to charge your stuff. And I tell you, I mean, the only drawback, it only gives you half a charge on your phone, 50%. But you know what? That's better than anything when you're out there. And it does charge up real quick when you put it out in the sun. And the good thing is, like I said, I keep it usually at night. I keep it attached to the back of my backpack. So if I have to take my backpack off at night, I'll hit the little lamp so I can find it real quick in case something should happen. And like I said, it's come out handy a number of times using it to charge my phone with when I'm out there.
See, that's something a lot of people don't realize, that whenever you're out in a situation, you're out in an area, if you're doing squatching or something like that, you're out in a wooded area. You might be camping out or something like that, but you're not in your backyard. You're not right next door. You're out someplace where you might be a couple of miles away from your car. Okay, so you might not have your car charger or something like that, and you're going to need something like this. You will need something like this to help you out. Now, if you're doing paranormal investigating, a lot of times you shut all the electricity off. You'll go through if you want to do like a lot of EMF detecting and stuff like that, you'll go through and you'll flip the breaker box, right? You'll flip off all the electricity coming into the home. It's good to have something like this. I know that ghost hunting, a lot of people do it at night. I go out during the daytime. Sometimes I'll go out to abandoned houses or something like that during the day. There's a abandoned house out in Cortland that I've been to several times. I've been to it during the daytime, and I've been to it during the night. Normally, here recently I haven't been out to it because the home is in such disarray. It's in the back left-hand corner of a patch of woods that is right next to a cornfield, and the only way to get to it is to go down a road that is made specifically for tractors to go down while they're doing combining and stuff like that in these cornfields. This house was abandoned many years ago, back in the 40s, and nobody's really been in there since, other than teenagers that have broken into it and doing some legend tripping stuff, and they've painted all over the walls and this and that. But time has taken its toll on this home. I went in there, and I actually had taken pictures. I showed it to several people, and I don't have it right now. I can't show it to you guys, and I apologize for that. You guys just have to take my word for it that there was a picture of a full-bodied apparition taken at this home.
Wow.
It, David, he had heard about it through a third party, and that's sort of how he got interested in me, and how me and him sort of met, and sort of started talking about the paranormal. It was really cool, but you go out to these places and you're taking pictures and stuff, and especially doing paranormal investigating, a lot of your batteries and stuff will drain really quick. I mean, the spirits and stuff like that, they'll use the energy from the equipment that you're using to, and it just drains. Like, you will have brand new batteries and you'll walk into a place and they'll be dead within a matter of minutes.
Yeah, that's happened to my wife.
A lot of times, it's becoming more common that people are using the rechargeable batteries, because it just becomes much more cost efficient at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, Ramir.
My wife, yeah.
Yeah, Ramir. Ghosts can suck your batteries dry. So yeah. I mean, if you have something like this, that would be amazing. And me myself, I am a firm believer that if a place is haunted, it's not haunted just at nighttime. It's not haunted just from 12 to 3. Okay? It's haunted from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. every day. So if you're going to a place and you're doing an investigation, don't just investigate at night. Investigate during the daytime too. As for doing the squatching, like Robert had said, it seems to be that the skunk ape is much more nocturnal, but I would imagine it would be like the American white-tailed deer, where if you go out hunting or something like that, you would want to go later in the evening or early in the morning. Time would be the time that you would catch them traversing through the trails and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's true. You also like to throw out that another good time to go out there is to find out when the animals are feeding, because it's quite obvious that the Bigfoot, the skunk ape, Sasquatch, obviously is a carnivore. It eats meat, because animals that big can't just be eating berries and grass and all that. So obviously eat some kind of a meat. So these animals are obviously aware when the deer, or down here in Florida we got these wild hogs all over the place. So they're obviously aware when these animals come out to eat, and that's when you find out when the feeding time is, that'd be a good time to go out there and look for them as well.
That was something I seen on a BBC clip from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization. Was they had found a mash of trees that had sort of been laid over in like the crisscross formation, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then there would be a longer log or something like that, trailing down the center point, in between those, sort of like propping up all that, like a tree bent over, and then other shrubbery and trees sort of bent over it like this, crisscrossed all the way down. So whenever they had seen it, they had actually been called out by a conservation officer to check it out. They have some. I'm not for sure, but I think they might be part of the Bigfoot Research Organization. They're just like the Kentucky branch of it. The gentleman that runs KBRO, his name's Charlie. He seems like a pretty nice guy, but they were on BBC, and they had found outside this supposed bedding of a Sasquatch that this skeleton of a deer, and its legs were broken. snapped, like somebody had, somebody killed this deer, broke its legs so it couldn't get away, and then of course ate it. It was just, a skeleton of a deer with its legs broken right outside of this hut. It was really cool.
Well, okay, I've seen it. Like I said, we have a lot of pigs out there, and a couple times we've been out there when all of a sudden something, we see them out in the field, and then all of a sudden, we sit there and watch, and then all of a sudden like something spooked them on the other side, But I actually haven't found anything yet. Trouble is, we also have hunters out there hunting deer too. So, hunting hogs. So it's kind of an interesting deal on that one. But like I said before, I'm convinced that these animals are carnivores. They do eat meat. And in Florida, they have plenty to eat with all the pigs out there. And it's kind of like I said, I'm just going to keep looking. And like I said, one of the things that Stacy Brown brought it to my attention is to find out, when the feeding time is and to go out that time. So, and that's what we've been doing lately. Me and my friend Nick, we've been finding out when it's, and because one night we went out and we were out till 3 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't hear anything. I mean, we didn't hear any animals, nothing. And I said, man, this is a bust. So, and I come to think of it, why would this animal want to just, be out there? Because, if these animals obviously have a purpose when they go walk around, and that's to find food or to find a place to, to move for shelter. So most likely, they're out there looking for food.
Yeah, you said that you're going out to someplace just sort of west of Orlando this coming weekend, right?
This weekend, yeah, we got a place that's called the Green Swamp, and there's been a lot of sightings. In fact, one of the very first sightings in Florida on record happened up in the Green Swamp. If you look at Orlando, if you look over to the west of Orlando, there's a place called Lakeland, and it's just right north of Lakeland. It's a big, huge area. It's part of the Florida water management area. Some of the areas has actually been set aside for hunting, and there's some camping areas out there. And believe it or not, there's a Bigfoot camp out there called, there's a Boy Scout camp out there actually called Camp Bigfoot. Bigfoot Wilderness Camp. That's what it's actually called. And we lately have kind of pushed our area over toward Tampa. There's a video that just came on the internet not too long ago called the Lettuce Lake Skunkate video, which unfortunately, after doing some research and I found out that it is in fact a hoax. It was done by some, I'm not going to call them college kids because they got kicked out of college, but I did get a hold of one of them, and of course, after I tried to talk to him and all that, he sent me a nice little email on Facebook. It was really short and to the point. He told me to go screw myself using the F word instead. So I knew right then and there it was a fake, because anybody who took a real Bigfoot video would be so excited about it and try to get it out there, and then but it just, unfortunately, that turned out to be a bust. But there has been some sightings not too far from that area, and we did find some stuff that looked like there was some bedding, like someone had pulled up some cabbage palm. I don't forget the name of the type of palm tree, but it pulled it up and looked like it made some kind of a bedding. So we're going to actually, we're going to try hitting that up area again. And I put some trail cams out there. So in fact, I got to go retrieve them tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. That's great. Well, I tell you what, we're not going to keep you too much longer. We're going into almost 3 hours. This is actually the longest show that I've ever done.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. We're about 30 minutes longer than any show that I've ever done, which is awesome, because it's been a really great show. You've been a really great guest. I've had lots of stuff to talk about, and it's great having somebody on that doesn't just focus on one thing, but has experienced all different sorts, all kinds of stuff. you know, you encompass pretty much everything, and it is really good. And I would love to have you back on the show sometime. Anytime,
Anytime.
anytime you want to come back on the show and talk about some of the stuff that you're doing and working on, that is great. I would
Like,
love to have you back on anytime.
well, I gotta get you a copy of my book.
Oh, definitely. I tell you what, I might just purchase a signed copy off of you sometime and pass it out as a gift give. I just sent out a copy of Michel Bellanger's book, Ghost Hunter Survival Guide. I sent that off to a lady named Kristen McKee, and she's in Pennsylvania. I did a thing on the Access to Paranormal website or Facebook page not too long ago, and we had a little contest there and she won it. She won the book, and I sent that off, and I did some little contests here on the DoXa Paranormal. DoXa Paranormal is an Access to Paranormal production. I'm part of the Access to Paranormal group, and DoXa the Paranormal is just a show that I do to sort of support the group and help them out. But I gave some of these away not too long ago. This is Walking Dead pop figures. I did a little giveaway for subscribers and stuff, and I sent one of those off to The Good Life the other day, and I've got one more down here in my desk, my little computer desk here. Dig her out here. It's the same one as I just shown you, but I'm gonna dig it out. I bought some of those, and I'm going to hand deliver that one to Rain CDB because she's local, and it's just cheaper that way. I just got to catch up with her. I've sent her a couple of text messages to see where when she would be available, and I've known her for quite some time and stuff like that. So I'm always looking for stuff to give away to people that come to the show and support the show, and subscribe to the show and stuff like that. So it would be great. It would be great to get a hold of you and talk to you about possibly doing that.
Hey, not a problem. I'd love to do it.
That'd be awesome. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much, Robert, for coming on and talking to us for almost 3 hours, man. I appreciate every bit of it. I really do. You've been a great
Hey,
guest. It's been
thank
a
you for
really
having me on there. I had a great time.
Yeah, it's been a really great show. You're going to have to come back sometime. Seriously, let us know how things are going in your search for the skunk ape, and let us know some new things. And you can come back on and promote some of the stuff that you're doing. I know from looking at your blogs at your blog spot that you do a lot of conventions. I know that you did a lot last year. I don't know what you've got scheduled for this year. If you want to talk to people about that real quick, maybe plug your book, plug your Facebook, and plug your blog spot. That's fine by me. You can go ahead and do that real quick. I'll sit here and shut up.
Okay. I've been invited to go do the Mothman Festival. I don't know the exact date. And October, hopefully, I'll get to go do the Boggy Creek one in Falk, Arkansas, which I always joke to everybody that Falk's is my Graceland. Right now, I don't know in any others. Like I said, I'm in the process now of re-editing and republishing my book. I got a hold of David Childress. I don't know if you folks know him. He's one of the gentlemen on that TV show Ancient Aliens. He also owns a publishing company, and I talked to him, and he wants to do a little bit more with my book than the previous publisher, which is real exciting. But he wants me to go and add a little bit more to it, which I couldn't agree more. There was stuff I wanted to put in there. So this year I'm going to spend re-editing the book and putting the stuff in there I wanted to make it a lot better than it is. And, I'm not really, as far as TV shows go, I hate to say it, I've kind of, I don't know, if I get a TV show that's good to do for like a one-spot deal, but I wouldn't want to do a series. I kind of like what I do as a teacher, and doing the legend tripping off to the side with my family is something I enjoy doing. But, If you come to my blog, Legend Trippers of America, I try to keep it updated. I'm also in the process of putting out a newsletter. My wife and me are putting together one of those right now. We're going to see how that works out. It's going to be free. You just you get on the mailing list, and I'll send it out to you. So that's something we're excited about trying out. And again, Sean, thank you for having me on the show.
Hey, thank you very much for being on the show, Robert. I really do appreciate it. It didn't. All I did was send you an email, and you were just more than happy to get on. And everybody else that I had talked to, it was sort of quite a bit of correspondence just to get them to come on. But you were just all about it, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being on. I hope you have a good night. I hope everything goes good for you and your family. You've got my Skype info. You got my email address. So just get a hold of me anytime, man. I'll get you back on the show for sure. You have a good night. Thank you for stopping by. All right.
All right, man. You take care.
Yep.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for stopping by, showing us support. DoXa Paranormal, Access to Paranormal, Legend Trippers of America, Kentucky Bigfoot Research Society, all these people that have come together and sort of helped this show grow. We went from we sort of stay around 20 to 30 viewers every night, every Thursday night that I get on. And that might not seem like a whole lot to a lot of people, but a lot of people got to understand that people come in, people go. We've got people there in the lobby that are just checking us out. And we're only on our 6th show, so I'm just going to keep bringing you guys great content. We got great people coming in all the time. Next month we'll have more Access to Paranormal people coming on. We've also got a little bit of updated information. Panzerati's, I do believe the Panzerati's Access to Paranormal Investigation is sold out. I do not believe that there is any spots left for that. There are spots open for Whispers Estates in Mitchell, Indiana on the 7th. If anybody is interested in that, there is a Facebook link down below that'll take you straight to the Access to Paranormal Facebook page. You guys can send us a message there, or you can send me an email at DoXa Paranormal Crew at gmail.com, and I'll make sure that I pass that information on to David Heatherly. We do have some bigger investigations coming up in Moundsville. That will be coming up, I do believe in August. I'll let you guys know more about that later. We've got a lot of stuff going on this year as Access to Paranormal. We're trying to get our name out there, trying to do these events, trying to bring back this pseudoscience. It's sort of been dying out quite a bit because of a lot of the controversy. The more people hoax things, the more things sort of fall apart. But there are people out there that are really credible, really good people. I do believe Robert C. Robinson is one of them. This book right here, this cover behind me, Legend Tripping, The Ultimate Family Experience, it is a sort of like a guidebook on taking your family out and doing stuff with them, and it is something different to do with them other than the everyday going and spending crap tons of money at a toy store or something like that. Go out and experience things with your children, with your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whatever. But I'm done talking for the night. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking around for almost 3 hours. This is the longest show that I've had. I hope you guys all have a great night. Until next Thursday, Stay scared.
Live inside this virus of my hope. Turn the page to save you from my own. I can see you dripping from the walls. Without me, the writing on the wall won't scream. With me, always living with the guilt of envy. Without me, the writing on the wall won't scream. With me, always living with the guilt of envy. Hearing your voice, it echoes so far away. I won't ever know how your tongue is Venom's cobra, and I'm the anti-guess. I can see